Welcome back to the Morning Mindset edition of the Live, Build, Change podcast. My name is Kerry Green, and I'm so glad that you're with me. Just a reminder, if you are not subscribed to the Morning Mindset to ensure that you receive a notification about it every morning when it publishes, you can do that through Facebook Messenger by looking wherever you are listening to this right now. And there is a link in the description that you can click on and subscribe via Facebook Messenger. Well, we've been looking at the life of the biblical person Moses and taking from his life some of the lessons that we need to learn in order to live our lives in a way that is pleasing to the Lord, but also powerful in his service. And Moses, in our story, has gone back to Egypt as an 80-year-old man to do something that is quite honestly impossible by human standards. He is going back into the most powerful nation in the world to lead a slave labor force of people out of captivity. If that doesn't overwhelm you by thinking about it, you may not be considering all the variables. 80-year-old man, over 2 million people, the most powerful nation in the world. This is quite a task God has placed on Moses' lap. But Moses has been instructed by God all the way through, I, God, will be with you. And that really is our strength, isn't it? It's something that we say knowingly, but somewhat tritely at times. Yes, we know God is with us, but do we really know what that means? That the God of the universe, the one who spoke and caused all of creation to come into being, has promised himself to be with us. And you may say, well, that was the Old Testament when he said that to Moses. Does that apply to me? Well, Jesus himself said, I will never leave you or forsake you. So if you've placed your faith in Jesus Christ, you have the promise that Jesus Christ is always with you, no matter what circumstances you face, no matter what difficulties you're entering. And Moses was about to enter some very large difficulties. God has already told him, Pharaoh is not going to let the people go immediately. And so he should have been prepared for that in his mind. And in fact, it gets worse than just the fact that Pharaoh won't let the people go. We find in Exodus chapter 5 that Moses goes to the people and he tells them all that God has told him, and the people are enthused. They're excited that their slave labor will be over and that they will soon be delivered. And when Moses goes to Pharaoh the first time, Pharaoh says, what are you doing telling these people that they're going to be free? I'll show you freedom. And he exercises his own supposed freedom to make the Israelite slaves' tasks even harder. They were in the process of making bricks for various building projects that the Pharaoh had commissioned. And Pharaoh tells them, you must now gather your own straw in order to make the bricks. No straw is going to be provided for you. I'll teach you to think about leaving. I'll teach you to be lazy. That's kind of what he says. And he's doing this, the scripture says, to make the people believe that Moses is lying to them, that Moses is actually their enemy. And it works. The taskmasters over the Israelites hear the complaints of the Israelites, and these Israelite foremen go back to Pharaoh and say, we are being mistreated because we're not being given any straw to make the bricks. And Pharaoh points to Moses, and he says, Moses is the bad guy here. What do you do when you obey God and hardship seems to follow? What do you do at that point? You have to do what Moses did in verse 22 of chapter 5. He turned to the Lord and called out to him. Now, Moses doesn't quite phrase it the way I think we should. We're going to address that in our next episode of The Morning Mindset.